Democratic presidential candidate Dean Phillips took his lumps in South Carolina last night in good spirits. Phillips congratulating incumbent President Joe Biden on, quote, a good old-fashioned whooping. Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips is with us now. He is a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Welcome.
Great to be with you.
So can we just start with the tweet? Because the people did not like the tweet. And I read it as you congratulating President Biden on whooping you. But I think people read it as you saying Joe Biden got whooped. Would you like to clear that up?
You know, welcome to Twitter world. Of course I was. I mean, who got whooped last night? I did. Yeah. My rear end's a little bit sore, and of course I'm congratulating the president. I predicted he would get 95%. He got 96%. I don't know how you could misread that tweet, by the way. I mean, if you look at the numbers, one person, actually two of us got whooped pretty good.
How do you?
So I hope I cleared it up.
Yeah, you did. So how do you, when you look at that whooping, how do you look at your campaign? And how should voters look at your campaign going into the next series of states? What's being served here? Because you got an incumbent president of your party who's pulling 96% of the vote in a very important state like South Carolina.
Sure.
Will pull a significant number of votes in subsequent states. So what does your path look like at this point, and why the full measure of what you're doing?
I appreciate it, Michael. It's a mission of principle, and I know tradition dictates that you always protect the incumbent. But I'm a Democrat who wants to win, and yes, he's dominating in the Democratic primary so far. I get it. But look at not the national numbers, as you just referenced. Look at the state numbers. Look at the lowest approval numbers in history. You know that Jimmy Carter was at 58% in January of 1980? Joe Biden's at 38%. You see the battlegrounds, all 7 of them. I'm just trying to wake up our party. We are the progressive party. We should be moving forward. So, I see the writing on the wall. And can I just say the net, though, Simone? Let me just say one thing. Remember how you felt the morning after the election in 2016 versus the morning after the 2008 election? I want to focus on the 2008 election. Let's bring some energy and wake up our party and get young people energized. 4% turnout yesterday in South Carolina. 4%. Yes, it is a whooping. But my goodness, people are apathetic. They are staying home. They don't care. We got to wake people up. I'm trying to inspire a party right now, and a coronation, in my estimation, is the worst way to invite. We need invitation, not confrontation. We're not going to win unless we start opening our hearts and minds to this whole country.
So, Congressman, yeah. I hear you. And, you know, the campaign strategist in me is like, And we sit at the table and we talk a lot about the Republican primary that has been waged and how the candidates have just been unwilling to compete. And it's like, are they out there trying to win? And you say this is a campaign of principle. If you cannot win, you know, I worked for Senator Sanders in 2015, 2016. Lots of, you know, I like to say I've been where you've been a little bit. And a lot of the arguments that we would make about how Senator Sanders would do in a general election, it was a moot point, because if you cannot win a Democratic primary, you cannot get to a general election. And so what do you say to the fact that, yes, in New Hampshire, what you got about 19%, but the Democratic primary in South Carolina is a test of how primarily black voters feel about you. And you cannot be the Democratic nominee without black voters. And so black voters, they didn't come out and say, we're interested in Dean Phillips. So what is your path? Because coming up next is Nevada. You're not going to Nevada. You set your sights on Michigan.
Not on the ballot.
You're not on the ballot, but Nevada is next. And so I don't understand.
Well, first of all, I think I probably have 5% name recognition right now in the country. No voters know me. In fact, this is my first invitation to your network in 4 months, and I'm grateful to all of you. Sincerely, I mean that. That's my whole point. The GOP has had a competition. They're on TV. They're consuming hundreds of hours of primetime television, debates, town halls. CNN has given every GOP candidate a 1-hour town hall. At least there's energy on the GOP side. We don't get energy unless there's competition. So when you coronate someone, especially a man like Joe Biden, who I respect, by the way, and I hope you know I respect Joe Biden. But at his stage in life, he is not inspiring people. We have no competition. We're absent on the airwaves. People don't care. You saw the turnout, 4%. And I'm trying to introduce myself. All I'm trying to do is wake up a party that I believe should have spirited competition to introduce a new generation of leaders. And by the way, when I came to Congress in 2019, I wanted Hakeem Jeffries to run right away. We've got to start elevating a young generation. We are suppressing voters and candidates and debate, and we're not inspiring. And it's time to wake people up. Someone had to do it. In that respect, I'm winning, and I'm going to keep going.
So the chairman in me,
The strategist and the chairman, yes.
the chairman in me says, what the hell are you doing?
Sure.
Right? And why are you doing it? Because the reality of it is the party had a chance in 2016 and in 2020 to make a different choice. All right? They did not choose Hillary. And in 2020, they had Joe Biden standing in front of them, and along with an array of other Democratic candidates, including the current vice president, and the party said no. So what makes you think that after that, with an incumbent president, Joe Biden's not going anywhere. He's not stepping down.
Big
right?
mistake, by the way. Big mistake.
Matter of opinion, but individuals make their choice. And in the process of making the choice to stay in the game, 97% of that 4% that turned out voted for him. So the question becomes, in reality, are you creating a drain in the process, prolonging the narratives around his age, prolonging the narratives around other things that people are distracted by with Joe Biden, when the real threat is the man across the aisle in Donald Trump? And the polling shows at the end of the day, Donald Trump is going to lose to Joe Biden. Second final point on that. This is 2024. This is not 2016. This is not even 2008.
Right.
Very different race, very different electorate. That's the other thing to keep in mind, that we've already seen an indication from the base of both parties where they want to go in 2022. When democracy and the threat is in front of them, the economy and all the other concerns take a little bit of a back step. So how do you sauce all of that narratively going forward when, as you tweet it, you're getting whooped?
Someone's got to do it. You know, my friends, I know every conversation you all have privately is probably the same ones I'm having with my colleagues, which is we're dumbfounded. And yes, he's got a commanding lead in the primaries. I get it. But look at the numbers. He is in a terrible position. The
Which
fact
numbers?
that Donald
Can we
Trump,
talk about the numbers? Let's be specific.
Okay, well,
what
first of all,
numbers?
let's talk about historical approval numbers. He's in the 30s. No one's ever won re-election with numbers like
let's
that.
talk about the voters.
Let's talk about the seven. Just forget national numbers. It doesn't matter. 7 battleground states where he is, at least in the last Bloomberg poll, behind in every single one. But here's the bigger issue. We're living in this bubble here in Washington. When you get out around this country, as I've been doing, my goodness, it is shocking. And by the way, I'm going to wake everybody up right now. Donald Trump is listening to people. He gets it. The border chaos is absolutely front and center amongst Democrats who cannot believe that Democrats here in Washington are denying it and have been for years. Costs are out of
Except they had an opportunity. They had an opportunity.
In the last number of months,
and
hallelujah,
Republicans
finally.
decided to bungle
of
it.
course. But all I'm saying is that Donald Trump is listening. The man is a disaster for this country. We know it. And he is beating, in every meaningful poll in the battlegrounds, he is beating Joe Biden. And frankly, the country's made up his mind about his age. I'm just going to be forthright with all of you. All the talk about the past, wonderful bills that I voted for and helped market. I was a member of House Democratic leadership, infrastructure bill, CHIPS Act, Inflation Reduction Act, great investments in America. Americans are really suffering right now. 60% living paycheck to paycheck, 40% don't have $400 in the bank. And here we have the president and our party saying, GDP growth is up, job growth is great. People are frustrated and they are fearful and they're seeing wars around the world. If we wake up, and my mission is to wake us up, I respect Joe Biden. He should have passed the torch. There are wonderful next generation candidates ready to go. I called them to inspire them. This was not a mission for me, but someone had to do this. And I'm simply saying the quiet part out loud. This is not a mission of antagonism. I'm not pointing out anything, Michael, that is not clear and present and obvious. This notion of encapsulating him, don't debate, don't appear in front of voters, don't do anything unscripted, don't do interviews, don't do town halls. He's going to have to. And when people see it, it's going to be really difficult to overcome. And I only ran for Congress the morning after the 2016 election. My 16-year-old daughter was in her bedroom crying. She had just overcome cancer. She's a gay woman. I didn't know it at the time. I saw fear in her eyes like I'd never seen in my kids' eyes. I had to do something. I promised them I would. I ran for Congress, flipped a 60-year Republican district blue.
And you
beat a
were
guy who
very
won by
popular
14.
congressman.
And I lost that popularity. But my point is, I know how to win in red districts. I know what's going on with Trump's attraction, which is getting stronger, not weaker. And I'm trying to inspire our party
win the blue
to wake up.
You revoked your congressional
but we're losing.
seat. Yeah, and so I do want to ask you, because since the start of this primary challenge, you've missed about 90% of your floor votes. And I wonder what you say to the constituents you currently serve about that choice.
I'll say another quiet part out loud. The people that really matter in these enterprises are staff, underpaid, hardworking, extraordinary young Americans who are taking care of all of our case files, all the constituent services that make the most difference in the world. I've told
Your
Hakeem
votes don't
Jeffries,
matter?
of course my votes matter, and Hakeem Jeffries knows very well, and I made the promise. Any vote of great consequence he needs me for, I'll be back for. That's why I'm here.
Vote, though.
That he needs me for.
Okay.
Look, folks, look, I activated, like millions of Americans, because of Donald Trump. I was in the chamber on January 6th because of Donald Trump. Now he's walking back to the White House. I know most people know this. I know most people feel it. And yes, there's a chance Joe Biden could win. But in 2020, I think he was the only one that could. In 2024, he's probably one of the only ones that can't. And I'm not going to be quiet. My legacy, the blessing I want to share with my kids in this country is you don't just shush up and stay in line and be quiet when our country needs people, especially the best and brightest, most talented, most proximate, and they didn't stand up. So someone had to do it. Whether it's me or not, we'll decide. But I'm going to continue this mission because somebody has to inspire people to do what's really important instead of being quiet at a time we need to be loud. That's
I know
my
we
only
have
contention.
to go. I have one last question. So, one, what is the red line for you to drop out of this race? And two, if you are not successful, which the numbers currently say you will not be, will you endorse and support and work to elect Joe Biden?
So here's the mission. I'm trying to build a model for Democrats to invite Americans to join us. We've lost huge swaths of this country because we stopped paying attention to them. Former President Trump is paying attention. I'm going to invite independents. I'm going to invite Republicans. I showed up at a MAGA rally just to say hi. I was greeted with decency and friendliness from 50 people waiting in the cold in New Hampshire. Many of them voted for Barack Obama. Many of them Bernie Sanders supporters. Many of them had never been to a Trump rally before. So I want to make a model for Democrats how we can win. I flipped a 60-year red district. We got to use invitation. And if I can demonstrate that over the coming months, we'll see polls that will present data to every Democratic voter and conventioneers. Who's best positioned to beat Donald Trump? It might be Joe Biden. It might be me. Maybe somebody else will enter. But I think we have to inspire options for voters, and we're suppressing that right now. That's my contention. And the fact that you afforded me 5-10 minutes to at least express that to Democrats who have not heard that message makes me very grateful.
Congressman Dean Phillips.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Relinquish what remains of the Allspark.
So who's the said to you? What? Who's the insect?
Protect you. They will defeat it on our world, and we will defeat them here.
This was just a diversion. Security may bring up. Ravage, he's already inside. Deeds! Give me an update on that reserve. Boss readiness. What was his name? What was it?
Evac, sir.
Evac.
She's right in front.
We are facing a heavy, sustained attack. They appear to be after the Allspark. General! General! We need to evac immediately, General. Evacuate everything. National security evacuate. Stand down. Check it out. The troops have failed their mission operations. The amateurs are suicide mission.